This problem, this is an example problem that's in the packet using ratios and dimensional analysis, and it's a fairly basic dose calculation using only tablets, so we don't have to deal with solutions or concentrations or things like that, but it's a pretty common thing that you'll be doing in clinic every day. Okay, so the veterinarian just diagnosed pneumonia in a 49-pound dog and would like to prescribe Clavamox. The generic of that is amoxicillin and clavulanic acid, very common antibiotic used in small animal, at a dosage of 11 milligrams per kilogram by mouth every 12 hours for 2 weeks. So your hospital carries Clavamox in those following tablet sizes, and these are pretty typical. Most of your hospitals are going to carry these size tablets for Clavamox. So the questions we need to answer: what dose of Clavamox needs to be administered twice a day? What size tablet are we going to use for each of those doses? And knowing that we have to administer this for 2 weeks, how many tablets total are we going to go ahead and put in the vial? So let's go ahead and kind of pick apart this problem and pick out the information we need. We always are going to need the weight for our dose calculations. And then we're going to need the conversion factors, or the dosage, which is one of them. And in this case, that's about all we need at the moment to answer the first question. So let's go ahead and start with the weight. And as usual, we are going to go ahead and convert that pounds to kilograms. And you can either do this by setting it up in dimensional analysis, or if you just remember that if you're converting from pounds to kilograms, we're going to divide by 2.2. And this is going to go ahead and give us 22, I'm going to round that to 22.3 kilograms. And I know I'm doing it correctly because my pounds are canceling out. Okay, so that's the first part of the problem. The next thing I'm going to do is go back up and use my conversion factor of the dosage, which is 11 milligrams per kilogram. So I'm just going to put a line here to show that we're kind of starting a new math problem. And I'm going to take the weight, and now that my units are appropriate, I can use that dosage to figure out how many milligrams I'm going to give per dose. Going back to my calculator, 22.3 times 11, and that is going to give me 245.3 milligrams in the morning and in the evening for 2 weeks. So that's the first question. The second question is, what size tablet are we going to be using, and how many are we going to administer for each dose? Now, this is a pretty straightforward question because here's our tablet sizes, and we do generally have to round a little bit. Sometimes it can take a little bit of experience figuring out how many tablets and how close is close enough. In this case, 245.3 milligrams is definitely close enough to 250 milligrams. So this is pretty simple. We're going to give one 250 milligram tablet by mouth twice a day. At the end of the problem, I'll go ahead and kind of give you an example of if it doesn't work out perfectly, how you kind of figure out which tablet size is the best and how many to use. Okay, so that answers the second part: what size tablet and how many will be administered for each dose. 250 milligrams we decided, and there will be one tablet per dose. So now we have to go back and decide how many tablets do we need to dispense total. And then we go back up to our prescription and see that we need to give this for 2 weeks. And we're giving one tablet in the morning and one tablet in the evening. So that means we're giving 2 tablets per day. Okay, so some people are able to just kind of do that in their head and then work with the calculation. If you're the kind of person that needs to kind of write it out and double check that you're doing it correctly, the way to do that is 2 weeks is 14 days. We always kind of want to break it down into how many days. If it was 6 weeks, it would be 42 days. But here we are going to be giving this Clavamox for 14 days. And we know we're going to be giving 2 tablets per day, okay? One in the morning and one in the evening. Here we can see how our days cancel out, and that's how we know that we should be multiplying 14 times 2. And that's going to bring us to 28 tabs total. So when we're going ahead and filling this prescription in our clinic, we're going to go ahead and get the pill vial, and we're going to count out 28 tablets and then obviously write the prescription on our prescription label appropriately. So that's the final answer to this question. Just going back, if you wanted to kind of figure out if it didn't work out perfectly, because sometimes that can be a little tricky. Let's go ahead and pretend that this all worked out. The dog happened to be a size that came out to a dose of 570 milligrams. This is a really big dog. Huge dog, apparently. Okay, so our dose is now 570 milligrams, and these are the tablet sizes that are provided. So the way to best figure this out is to simply divide our dose by the tablet size, okay? And if you wanted to put that in like a dimensional analysis type of equation, you would say that we'll just take a look at how many 62.5 milligram tablets we would use. We would go ahead and set up our equation, and in one tab, there are 62.5 milligrams. That's how we know we need to divide, okay? So if we decided to go ahead and prescribe the 62.5 milligrams for this dog that requires 570 milligrams per dose, 570 divided by 62.5, we would have to give, it ends up being 9.12, but we'll just round that to 9. We would need to give 9 tabs of the 62.5 milligrams per each dose. Ridiculous. No owner is going to be able to do that. But that is how you work through it if it doesn't work out perfectly. Let's go ahead and jump to the largest size tablet, because that's probably the one that's going to work best for us. It doesn't always. You want to get close to 1 or 1.5 or 2.5. It's hard to do 3/4 of a tab or 1/4 of a tab. So again, I'm going to take my 570 milligrams. In one tab, there are 375 milligrams. So I'm going to go ahead and divide that. Divided by 375. And I'm going to see that that comes out to 1.52 or 1.5 tabs. And that's a much more reasonable thing that an owner can handle as opposed to giving 9 tabs. So that's kind of how you figure out what the best size tab is if it doesn't work out to be as perfect as our particular problem. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.